Hey everybody, it's Emily at ARG Schooling, and today I'm going to be bringing you the Build Your Library Level 2 update. As you may know, I've been updating all the lower levels of Build Your Library, and I've just finished Level 2. I'm very excited. I have some great new additions to Level 2, and I'm going to just share with you what I've changed or added. I knew I wanted to change out the poetry because I changed the poetry in Level 1, and that was a book that continued through Levels 1, 2, and 3, so I needed a new poetry book. And I knew I wanted to replace the out-of-print art book. I was using the Usborne Intro to Art, which is an awesome book, but it's been out of print for years, and it's getting harder to find copies, so I really wanted to find a new book for that. I had one out-of-print history book that I needed to replace, and two books that I wanted to replace for the literature, one that was out of print and one that I just found a better book. I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to start with the poetry, and the book I chose to replace the poetry book is A Child's Introduction to Poetry, and this is by Michael Driscoll. This is exactly what it says it is. It's an intro to poetry, so it goes through different types of poetry as well as a study of different poets. I really like how it just sort of touches on each thing, so you get a really great overview of what poetry is, how it works, some famous poets. And the other thing I really like about this book is that it comes with a CD, you can see here, and you can listen to the poems being read. It's also illustrated. The illustrations are very cute. So I think this is a great book. It gives them some information about each poet and each poem, some words that might be unfamiliar. So this is just a really great poetry resource, and I hope you guys enjoy it. For the art, I actually have two books we'll be using to replace the Usborne Intro to Art, because I have the Children's Interactive Story of Art. This is put together by the National Gallery and Susie Hodge, and it is a great overview of art history. I also really like that this comes with a free app that you can download to your phone or tablet, and you can use that app to get even more out of this book and study art. It has games and other information that you can use. It's just a really lovely book, and I think it's a great resource. And the other book I'm using along with that to get even more out of art history is Why is Art Full of Naked People? Also by Susie Hodge. This book is really cool. I got this actually for my daughter several months back, and we've just loved it. It's awesome. It gives you a question that a kid might ask. So, for example, why is art full of naked people? And it answers the question and talks about why people would have drawn the human form without clothes on. And it questions about what's with all the fruit. What is it exactly when you get to some more abstract art? So it's just a really cool resource. You go through all kinds of different questions, lots of beautiful pictures of real art and information about the artists and techniques and all of those things. It's just a really, really cool resource. These two books will also carry on through levels 3 and 4. Okay, moving right along, the history book I am replacing in level 2 is, again, Marco Polo. This is the third time. Oh, the first Marco Polo book I used went out of print, and I replaced it with another Marco Polo book. That one went out of print recently, so I am just no more Marco Polo. So the book I'm using now is Genghis Khan, the Brave Warrior Who Bridged East and West, and this is by Li Jiang. And I really think this is a great resource for learning a little bit more about Genghis Khan. And this book is beautifully illustrated, and I also really appreciate that it's bilingual. So the story is told in both English and Chinese. So this is just a really lovely biography about Genghis Khan. The next three books are all books that were literature. So these are the read-alouds. The one book I really needed to replace was Viking Adventure. It had gone out of print, and it's so hard to find a good book about Vikings for that age level. After much searching, I came upon a Neil Gaiman book that I hadn't read. This is Odd and the Frost Giants by Neil Gaiman, and it is a picture book, chapter book. So there's lots, it's full-page illustrations throughout, and the illustrations are beautiful. It's just beautifully done. This book is about a boy named Odd who goes on some adventures with some Norse gods and fights frost giants. And it's just a really well done story. It's very cute, it's very well written. I think children would really enjoy this. I'm excited to read it with my 9-year-old. And because that book was actually shorter than Viking Adventure, and I didn't have a second Viking book. But I did have another book that I bought a while back and I adored. And I thought this would be a great place for it since it's also a short book. And that book is Wish Tree by Catherine Applegate. Not even remotely about Vikings. And that's okay. This book is so cute. I got this, I had pre-ordered it because I really enjoy Catherine Applegate's writing for children, and so I knew when I heard about this book that I was going to want it. This is a story told from the perspective of a tree, a red oak, and the oak is talking about the neighborhood, and a new neighbor moves in, and they're Muslim, and somebody carves the word leave onto the tree, and it causes this whole thing about whether they should keep this tree or get rid of it. And it's such a well done story. I love that it's about an important topic about tolerance and acceptance, but it's done in a way that it doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel like children are being talked down to. It's just really well told. And the story is adorable. It's told, like I said, from the perspective of the tree, and the tree's friends with all the animals in the neighborhood, and so you get to hear from their side of the story too. And of course you do get to meet the humans, but it's mostly about the tree telling her story. And I just adored it. It's beautiful. It's a lovely little story. I hope you guys enjoy it. And the final book that I replaced was Girl in a Cage by Jane Yolen, which I love that book. It's one of my favorites, but I know that it's a little bit old for level 2, and so I've been hoping to find something that maybe would be a little more age appropriate. And then this book was released. This is The Mad Wolf's Daughter by Diane Magris. This came out in March, so it just came out. It's very new. And when I heard about it, I got excited because it sounded exactly like what I was looking for. This book is similar in tone to Girl in a Cage. It takes place in Scotland. It's about a female protagonist who is very strong and brave, and this book is so good. This might actually be one of my favorite children's book reads this year. It's just such a wonderfully told story. Little girl dressed, waiting to go to bed at night, but she hears all this commotion and she thinks that there's something about to happen, and she tries to warn her family and they're not listening to her. She's the youngest in a family full of brothers. They're like a war band, and she's being trained to be a warrior, and her family gets kidnapped in the night. They get taken to the castle to be executed, and she needs to rescue them. Meanwhile, a knight has been left behind at her camp, and she takes him. He's been wounded, and so she's going to bring him back and use him as a way to negotiate back her family. And along the way on her journey to go get her family, she gets to really know this knight, and they make a friend along the way. And so her and her 2 friends are on this adventure quest, and it's just it's the best of questing stories, medieval questing and like hero stories, and she becomes a hero, and I just love it so much. It's a wonderful story about figuring out your place in the world, about learning how to become the best person you could be, living by a code and really sticking to it no matter what, and finding out who your family really is and if you want to be like them or not. It's a wonderful book. I thoroughly enjoyed this story. These are the new additions to Level 2. I'm very excited about every one of them. I hope you guys enjoy the updates. If you've already purchased Level 2 and you want to get the update, there are 2 ways to go about it. Number 1, if you still have the download link and you still have downloads on it, you get 5. Once you hit 5 downloads, the link expires. So if you still have your link and you don't have 5 downloads yet, you can click your link and get the new update that way. So that's the easiest way. If you don't have your link anymore or it's expired, go ahead and send me a message. You can send me a message through my website, through this video, private message me on my Facebook page, however you want. My email is emily@buildyourlibrary.com. It's really easy to remember. So you can send me an email, let me know what email you purchased with so I can find you in my system, and I will be happy to send you the new update. I will leave all of the information down below in the description box, and I'll also link all the books there that are updated. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the updates in level 2, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye. And it is a great overview. Ooh, a goldfinch. There's a goldfinch at the feeder. Oh, sorry. Oh, 2 goldfinches. My bird feeder right now is full of goldfinches, and it is so distracting for me. There's 3 of them. I've never seen that many all at once. So cool. Distraction. Okay, focus, Emily.